ABC News has obtained some of the 911 calls made right after Charlie Kirk's murder.
The Kirk speaker at UVU just got shot in the head.
Okay, what's the address?
UVU.
And what happened?
He's a speaker, famous guy, Speaker Kirk.
Where
he just got shot in the middle of his speech. I'm in the parking lot. Everybody's running. The whole UVU is running.
Okay.
He just got shot.
The calls paint a picture of fear and confusion after Kirk was shot in front of an audience of thousands. Meanwhile, FBI Director Kash Patel says investigators now have DNA evidence placing the suspect at the scene. ABC's Jaclyn Lee is there at Utah Valley University. Jaclyn, what's the latest?
Diane, FBI Director Kash Patel saying on Fox News earlier today that they discovered a screwdriver on the roof where they believe the shot took place that ultimately killed Charlie Kirk. And he said that on the screwdriver is DNA evidence that links back to the suspect. And he also mentioned that when they discovered the rifle in the woods, it was wrapped in a towel. Patel saying that towel also had DNA evidence on it that linked back to the shooter. So those are two key pieces of evidence that could potentially put 22-year-old Tyler Robinson at the scene of the shooting. Again, this is still ongoing, and we know that officials are also trying to piece together a motive here. The other thing that Utah Governor Cox said is he said that they have been interviewing friends and family of the suspect, but acknowledged that the suspect is not cooperating whatsoever and did not admit to the shooting. Now, at this point, we are waiting for the DA to officially file charges against the suspect. That is supposed to take place tomorrow, but the attorney saying there is just a mountain of evidence, Diane, that they have to sort through. And because of how much volume there is, they may have to push that filing date to Friday. Diane.
And Jaclyn, what's it like on campus right now?
It's very solemn. I mean, as you can see behind me, this memorial, which has really grown exponentially since we spoke last week, there are still a lot of people coming to visit. We're seeing it as a consistent trickle in all morning long. And this is something that we saw all weekend as well, especially on Sunday. There were so many members of the community as well as their families coming to pay their respects, and people have been getting very emotional. We saw there's a man over there who's on his hands and knees just crying about Kirk's death. And what we're seeing, especially on the signs and from people that we've spoken with, is they really feel that Charlie Kirk was a martyr and a hero who was taken in this very violent way, and that's what we're hearing from people on the ground. Also, in terms of the school, employees return today and students return on Wednesday. Diane.
All right, Jaclyn Lee, thank you. And let's bring in ABC legal contributor Brian Buckmire for more. Brian, how do you think these 911 calls will factor into the legal case prosecutors are building right now?
I think it factored in more in the sense of trying to catch the suspect and identify who it was. It gives us a timeline as to when the shooting occurred, when law enforcement got there, who, what, where, when, how. Now, as you go further, and we've got things like, as the FBI is saying, there are DNA samples, there are forensics in terms of what's on the internet and what communications had. I think now we're moving away slightly from the 911 call into other forms of evidence, but I think in the totality, it will be a part of the package that is this case for either the prosecution or the defense.
We are expecting charges of aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily harm. How do prosecutors decide on that? And do you think there are any other charges they're considering right now?
So those are the initial charges based on what we just even see from the outset, right? It's very easy to see why this is aggravated murder being that someone was murdered. Clearly, and then those aggravating factors. One of them, as I think I mentioned earlier, very obvious, is that there's a grave risk of death to someone other than the individual who died or the perpetrator of that crime. You shoot at someone who's in a crowd of 3,000 more people, that's a very easy charge to make out. And then, of course, you have the way the person fled, the discharging of the firearm. But I think as investigators continue, both from a state and federal standpoint, how this came about, whether there's a conspiracy charge as to who might have coordinated, what the motivation was, where the motivation comes from, who might be involved, the communication as to picking up the gun as well. All of these could amount to new fact patterns that allow for more charges to be added as well.
If they meet the deadline to file these charges by tomorrow, what happens next?
So initial charges will be filed. We know that either the individual will either be assigned a public defender or they may hire representation. From there, we go through the process that we've seen in all of these cases, in criminal cases, where an assignment of counsel will be given, a next court date will be selected, what discovery, what information will be passed on, what will be given to the public as well. Hearings, whether or not certain evidence should or should not be used against them, depending on whether constitutional violations or arguments a defense attorney can make. And then ultimately, I don't think this is the type of case where a prosecutor, state or federal, will ask for a plea deal. I think just the way that the climate is right now, they'll push towards trial. And if these are death-eligible offenses, which aggravated murder is in the state of Utah, and federally they could have those as well, I think we'd push towards this being a capital murder case.
All right, Brian Buckmire, thank you.
Yes.